Okay, for this exercise, we are going to render a controller in grayscale mode. Do not touch any colors yet, just purely grayscale. Alright, so there are two images here of the object itself, which you can actually study how the profile. There is a slight chamfer here, high gloss effect here, high gloss button. Okay, a bevel for this portion, high gloss effect. Let's take a look at the black version, which is much more clearer. You notice how the light is here, right? And then it's very dark from here itself. There is a need to bevel these two portions, the chamfer, a quick highlight up here, highlight at the edges here. Okay, what else? If you zoom in closer, right, at the object itself, notice there is a scoop here. Okay, this will give the this will give a much more character inside the buttons. Alright, you need that scoop to make it look pop. And without it, right, it will look rather much flat. Okay, that was this exercise, the reason for it. Okay, so once you open up the template within Photoshop, what I need you to do, right, is to start to draw out. Meaning, within the path itself, you must draw out your controller, buttons, the cross button, the navigation buttons, and then these are my X button. Okay, so we are going to start off with rendering the body first. So let me just make sure your sketch reference is always on top. Alright, so what I need to do first is to import an image inside. Okay, give me a second. Okay, import an image inside. Then you can always scale it. Reduce the opacity first to check whether the image itself is too big. You can then scale it to size, one end to the other end. Okay, once done, press enter. Let's rename this object ref, so that we can always come back here and then check. So let's push this back to 100 mode. Right, so right now let's start to render the body underscore 1. Always remember the value 0, 1, 2, 3. It's just that 4 values we are going to work on. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to select on our path, which you need to draw out. Okay, it's not provided. So once that's done, okay, make sure this is in grayscale mode. Okay, I'm going to work with a 80. Okay, I changed to 85 because I want slightly darker tone. Okay, because my reference is also quite dark here. Alright, those of you who want to work with 90, you can always try. But once you get too dark, it's kind of hard to see the details. So that's why I rather keep it to 85 just for practice purposes. Okay, I will open up a new one and then I call it body underscore 2. Under body underscore 2, I will then start to use the a brush tool, and then change it to multiply. Okay, let me just delete and then I show you again how I created. I will use a big brush and then I will just brush the edges. Okay, Same with the side edges here. I will use a big brush and then I will just start to brush out the edges. For the details inside, make full use of the shift button. Okay, press shift, click, then click, and click again. This will create a straight line. All right. Okay, similar here. I will need to reduce, press shift. Okay. Press shift again. That will give the some shadow or darker tone over the edges for the body. Okay, the next one I need to start with is the, okay, let's try the body underscore 3. Okay, cancel. Okay, 3 is the darkest value, right? So let me change to the brush mode again. Brush mode. Oops. Brush mode. Okay. Okay, just brush slightly. Okay. If there's no effect, we can always we use this layer and then call it body 0 instead. Change to screen. Then let's work with the highlights instead. Okay, for the highlights is quite similar. I will work on my outside. Okay, same. I will just use my mouse. Okay, once I have that, I can do a quick blur. Let me see. Oh yeah, a quick blur is quite helpful also. All right, once you think it's quite all right, you can just press OK. Okay. So what I did to get these sharp edges here, right? I will tend to scale it slightly smaller, and then I will add slightly another one more blur. Okay, that will give the so-called softness here that you need. Okay, let me just see what else try. Cover. Okay, those of you who thinks the dark value here is too much, right? You can always use that smudge tool again. Let me try to find that smudge tool. Okay, use slightly larger brush. Oops, hold on. Okay, select every single thing. Okay, so now we're going to push up that dark value. Make it slightly thinner. Can you see the difference already? It makes. Alright, so once we have this quite done, the body quite done, let's move on to the top here. Right, let's just grab all these, group them, call it body. Okay, now we need to work on our top. Let's call it top underscore 1. Okay, the same thing. Now we need to do a quick selection mode. Let me just pick my item to a quick selection. Right now it's too big, right? I need this to subtract. for my selection. So I have the top instead. Alright. There is something new just now which I share. Okay, so right now I can always use 85 back again. Start to pour the colors inside. Change to multiply. Okay, let me just see again how the form looks like. Okay, there's dark values here. There's a light here. Highlights at the top and the side. Alright. So right now we have this. The next thing that we can do is to take our brush. Okay, hold on. Create a new layer. Let's call it top underscore 2. Okay, let's take our brush mode. Yes. Select the color. Change to multiply. Okay. So now we need to color the edges. Okay. Those of you who think it need to be slightly darker, go back to 1. Maybe right now we fill in a 90 instead. Okay, take your paint bucket. Alright, this is a 90. This is a 85. Maybe a 90 looks okay. So once you start to paint the in the darker values here. Okay. Alright. Now we need to start adding the highlights at the edges. I would say it's quite a similar process to just now. So I can always select. Let me open a new layer. Let me call this top underscore 0. Okay, use my brush mode. Okay, change to screen. Opacity 10. Okay, make it slightly smaller. Okay. Let me just see again how it looks like. Okay. So rather than the now we can always use a brush to delete a bit the sides. Okay, let me reset my brushes. Okay, so now once we have this, I can go back to my filter, blur, just add a slight blur only, not too much though. Okay, something that looks like, yeah, something that give a top profile, a slightly, yep, something about there, which is 5.4 value. Undo. Okay, so now we have this top here. Let's just take a look first. Okay, what we can do from there, okay, we can start to erase or adjust the highlights. Okay, in the next video I will start to do up the X and the highlights line.